In Northern Ireland, part of the United Kingdom, the city of Londonderry is divided in two. On one side, Protestants, on the other, Catholics. For centuries, these two communities have been at each other's throats. At the beginning of August each year, in the Catholic district of Bogside, young people pile up pallets of wood that they have collected from all over the city.
Here's where I hang about. All year.
This tradition dates back to 1969. It commemorates the violent riots between Catholics, Protestants and the police. After several days, the construction is finally up. A huge pyre over 50 meters high. Before setting fire to it, the next day, the young boys hang the flags of their enemies on it. Like this one, which pays tribute to the British Crown.
Burn it the 15th of August. You know what I think at?
They're the flags of oppression. They stole their land. I think the Ulster flags not speak for themselves. At the end of the day, this is Ireland, and they reckon they live here. They reckon they own here. It's not. It's our land.
Also hanging on the construction are the names of police officers who have received death threats.
No, I'm here on the Bogside or anywhere free day. And if we do, they will be met with sustained attack. This is Ireland, not England. You know what I mean? They should fuck back where they're from.
These young Catholics fight for independence. They want Northern Ireland to leave the United Kingdom and reunite with the Republic of Ireland.
This is where we're from. This is Catholic. This is a Republic in there. Been through the whole lot, you know what I mean? Harassed daily, getting harassed up here, now RUC, everything.
The huge pyre will be set alight tomorrow at 11 p.m. But tonight, on the other side of the wall in the Protestant quarter, the Protestants are commemorating another battle won against the Catholics over 300 years ago. The two factions celebrate two different things, but in the same way. They too have erected a huge pyre ready to be set on fire. At the summit, they burn the flags of Ireland and the Irish independence. A provocation for Catholics who intend to take revenge.
They get at them orange bastards. Fuck them.
The next day at 11 p.m, more than 2,000 people gather around the bonfire in Bogside.
Best day of the year. Hey, no one beats it. Christmas, Halloween, everything. Bonfire. That's right out.
Behind their cries of joy, this ritual is a reminder of the deep-seated hatred between Catholics and Protestants in Northern Ireland that has lasted 800 years. Under the possession of the Kingdom of England since the 12th century, the island of Ireland was partitioned in 1921. In the south, the Republic of Ireland, an independent country. In the northeast, Northern Ireland, which belongs to the United Kingdom. In Northern Ireland, two rival camps have coexisted for over a century. On one side, the Unionists, who are mainly Protestant and loyal to the United Kingdom.
There'll never be a United Ireland while I'm alive. We will always remain British, you know.
On the other side, the Irish independents, mostly Catholics, who want to be reunited with the Republic of Ireland.
The Irish tricolour, the tricolour is the flag of Ireland, you know, so that's our national flag. If you live in Ireland, you're Irish.
Between 1968 and 1998, a fratricidal conflict left over 3,500 people dead.
Another car bomb exploded close to a police roadblock.
on the Ormeau Road in Belfast, the army couldn't keep apart Protestants and Catholics.
Paramilitary groups carried out attacks and assassinations. In 1998, the Good Friday Agreement put an end to this civil war.
But there was agreement and eventually a ceasefire.
But Brexit threatened this relative peace. The UK's exit from Europe created a customs border between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Protestant Unionists fear for the future of Northern Ireland within the United Kingdom, and violence has escalated. These identity tensions are exacerbated by the former heroes of the Civil War, paramilitary groups. Some are still active.
The Irish Republican Army actually decommissioned in like 1994 or...
No, they still exist.
Like the new Irish Republican Army, responsible for attacks and numerous murders, including that of a journalist in 2019. But today, under the guise of political demands, most of these paramilitary factions have become criminal organizations.
That's what it is. They're gangsters. End of story, and we don't need them.
They control deprived neighborhoods and exercise parallel justice.
They take access.
Right.
We need the leaves more or less hanging off, as you can see.
Exceptionally, we were able to meet a former Protestant paramilitary.
Somebody had a hammer as well. And we put the door, beat him so bad on the legs, the shin came out of his knee.
Between crime and identity rivalry, we dive into Northern Ireland, a country where peace seems increasingly fragile. "24 years after the end of the Civil War, huge walls and fences still scar the city of Belfast, the capital of Northern Ireland. Put end to end, these walls extend over 30 kilometers. They separate the Protestant neighborhoods loyal to the British Crown from the predominantly pro-independence Catholic neighborhoods. During the day, you can move freely from one neighborhood to another through these gates. But every evening at nightfall, Joel, a security guard, has an important task.
So on this side you have the Shankill Protestant side, and just behind you there is the Falls Catholic side.
At 6:30 in the evening, Joel closes the heavy metal doors.
Obviously the peace gates were introduced to sort of create a divide to stop any conflict.
Thank you so much.
I'm trying to leave it as long as I can before locking the gate. Because I know when I studied up the road, you know, you're trying to get home and the last thing you want to see is locked gates and you have to go the long way around. So I like to try and help people out if I can, you know.
Latecomers are forced to make a diversion of several kilometers, closed gates to avoid clashes between Catholics and Protestants. Last April, riots broke out in Belfast against Brexit. Dozens of young Protestants stormed the Lanark Waygate with mortars, Molotov cocktails, and even ram cars. They forced their way in to fight the Catholics, but were interrupted by the police. Terry is a Catholic and lives in the Republican neighborhood of Falls Road. He had a front row seat on the night of the riots.
There's people that are terrified. There's people that are looking through their windows. I'd never witnessed anything like it. It was awful. It's how they were constantly pulling. And then all of a sudden it became opened. So then there was a few wee scuffles back and forth, tit for tat, pepper bombs from each side, you know, fireworks from each side, stones, bottles, etc. And it was terrifying, so it was.
At 47, Terry grew up at the foot of Belfast's highest wall, which stands at 8 meters.
Looks like division, you know. I don't like that. I never like the look of them. I think if you want to move on together, try and normalise the place. But after that all happened there in April, no, I was saying hire them 20 foot higher.
Like Terry, the people in his neighborhood live in daily fear. To protect themselves from attack, some take drastic measures. In this alleyway, next to the wall.
Hiya, Pauline. You doing all right?
All the houses are surrounded by a metal cage, like Paulie's.
They stop the stones from coming over from the peace line and the petrol bombs and stuff. That's what it's for, just to stop.
On the first floor, the view from her grandchildren's room is a fence.
But sure, they're young, they don't understand, so they ask questions like why they're there for, but they'll probably still be there when they're here too. So they will, when they're all grown up, they'll probably still be there, because I can't see them coming down like.
Paulie's grandchildren will be the third generation to grow up in these cages.
So as if you're locked up. Most of the time when the stones come over, it's terrible. So it is. So, but you have to live with it.
You don't want this wall to be put down?
No.
Despite this confinement, like 30% of the residents in these neighbourhoods, Paulie and Terry want the walls to remain up.
Want it to stay?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because civil war would basically commence, that's why. And everybody would fight each other, that's why they need to stay.
In 2013, the Northern Irish government committed to dismantling the walls by 2023.
Thanks very much for your time. All right, Pauline.
But with 1 year to go, less than a dozen have been destroyed. In Northern Ireland, the Protestant and Catholic communities are at odds with each other in terms of religion, politics, culture and traditions. Even the pubs are wildly different. In this pub in Newry, a small town south of Belfast, Irish and Catholic culture is celebrated. Damien is a folk singer.
Come on, Liam. Fancy seeing you here.
The best!
Here he's a small celebrity.
She's another #1 fan. Aren't you?
We follow Damien everywhere.
Yeah, all the time. I should start charging.
Damien is what you might call a rebel singer. His music speaks out against Northern Ireland's membership of the United Kingdom.
Well, the Union Jack's the flag of England. The Irish tricolour, the tricolour's the flag of Ireland. You know, so that's our national flag. You live in Ireland, you're Irish. It's never too late to celebrate when you're Irish.
In the lyrics of his songs, he advocates the reunification of Ireland.
Well, I took a stroll down the old College Road. Rabbit Sunday is the day we'll fight till for 800 more. Well, we're English, we're not British, we're not Saxon, what are we? We're Irish, as proudly up to be. So fuck your Union Jack, we want our country back. We want to show Ireland free once more. Here we go. Going home, British soldiers going home. Having got no fucking homes up your road. Our 800 years, we fought you with fears. We'll fight till for 800 more.
He proclaims his hatred for the Queen. He also pays tribute to the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, a paramilitary independence group.
Sunday is the day when you see Jerry Oak and Damien Quinn sing the songs of the IRA.
Damien's songs are banned from playing on the radio, but he has a strong social media following with over 6 million views on his YouTube channel.
Wouldn't have been any rebel songs if England hadn't have invaded Ireland. A lot of young ones weren't even born then. They can't really relate to the real heavy bit of the troubles when there was a lot of bombings and shootings as part of the warfare.
So, but they still love the rebel songs.
We grew up with this music all our lives, and all my family is like real big supporters of like a united Ireland and stuff.
While Catholics want Northern Ireland to separate from the UK, Protestant Unionists want it to remain the way it is at all costs. In early July, the Unionist side was in full swing. They are preparing to celebrate the victory of the Protestant King William of Orange over the Catholic King James II in a 300-year-old battle. The Walker family are particularly looking forward to the parades and celebrations.
Sausage and bacon bobs to fill us up for the day.
Darren and his son Lee are members of the Orange Order, a very conservative Protestant fraternal society that claims to be the home of King William of Orange.
Yeah. I became an Orange man over 30 years ago. I met my wife then, whose father was an Orange man as well. It's one big family and something that people have in common.
The Orange Order imposes rigorous rules on its members. It is forbidden to marry a Catholic woman or to enter a church. The aim of the Orange Order is to defend the Protestant identity.
Well, today's the 12th of July, which is commemoration of the Battle of the Boyne, 1690, which is about the commemoration of King William's victory. Without his victory, Protestants would have continued to be persecuted across everywhere.
At only 16 years old, Lee is already reciting an identity discourse.
If you forget about what happened in the past, you'll relive it. That's the simple reality of it. And if you forget who your identity is, you're neglecting the past.
This year, for the first time, Lee will march alongside his father as an adult member of the Orange Order. For the occasion, he has been given a collar that he will keep for the rest of his life.
It is a symbol that I'm part of the lodge. See. So it is.
How does it feel?
It's like goosebumps. You know, it really doesn't feel real, you know.
He's becoming a man now. He's no longer a child, and now he's a senior member of a lodge.
Kind of strange having a big lad walking with me now. As a senior. Be good.
Darren and Lee meet with the other members of the Brotherhood in the centre of Rathcoole, one of Belfast's most loyal areas to the British Crown.
Sausage, bacon, pops, brown sauce, and loads of beer. No surrender.
For his first time, Lee will carry the banner of the lodge.
I've been near the front, which is big honour, very big honour for my first time. Like, crown with Bible within the Orange, we're taught the two people you give all respect and honour to is God and the Queen.
Under the colours of the Protestant King William of Orange and to the rhythm of the brass bands, the parade set off. Hundreds of people came to cheer for the Orangemen. Liz, Lee's mother, is moved by the show.
You have to look after him and make sure he's all right. He's still my baby.
How to carry the standard, how to lead the lodge.
Beyond folklore, these parades serve as a show of strength for the Protestant community. They take place under close police surveillance, as clashes with Catholics regularly occur. Due to COVID, the parade this year was limited to the Protestant quarters, but the speeches were still sectarian.
We are Protestants. We are orange. Love. Look at this red, white, and blue. We are from Northern Ireland, not Ireland. These Irish people
They're trying to take our culture from us. That is not right.
We are the most patriotic part of the United Kingdom in Northern Ireland. Nobody else. Us. The only way we could have peace here is to put the Irish out. No surrender.
At the end of the parade, the speeches feature old resentments against the Catholics and pay tribute to the heroes of the Civil War.
Please remember that we are the same people that stood against terrorists from 1969. Our cry was, is, and always will be, no surrender.
Nearly 25 years after the peace accords, some of the paramilitary groups that used to carry out attacks and assassinations are still active. Among them is the new Irish Republican Army, a resurgence of the notorious Irish Republican Army, the IRA. In their fight for independence, they still commit attacks, as in January 2019 in Londonderry Court. This terrorist organisation is said to have a political front. The far-left revolutionary party called Surrett, meaning freedom in Irish. Paddy Gallagher is its spokesman.
So this is obviously a sign, I would assume, in support of the Irish Republican Army. Through travelling along this road, I've noticed that it's a sign that's appeared in recent days.
Can you explain what was the Irish Republican Army?
It's kind of difficult. They,
okay.
Under some laws and legislations here, implemented by the British government, depending on what you say, or you could end up in jail. So it's just so.
But because the Irish Republican Army actually decommissioned in like 1994, or
no, they still exist.
On the walls of the Surrett headquarters, a huge fresco glorifies violence and speaks of an unfinished revolution.
Can look quite aggressive to a certain extent. However, that's in reference to the fact that Ireland remains under British occupation, that the revolution will remain unfinished until Britain leave Ireland, until Ireland is no longer occupied by Britain.
The party premises resemble a museum dedicated to the armed struggle.
This is a cross that was made by Republican political prisoners. There are a number of political prisoners being held in both British and Irish Free State jails at the minute.
Surrett and the new Irish Republican Army are said to be responsible for the tragic death of Lyra McKee, a 29-year-old Catholic journalist, killed on the 18th of April 2019. That evening, the journalist was covering a riot in Londonderry. In the crowd, a gunman jumped out and fired at the police, but he missed and shot the young woman in the head. A few days after the tragedy, the new Irish Republican Army acknowledged its responsibility in the Irish news. On Thursday night, following an incursion on the Cregan by heavily armed British Crown forces which provoked rioting, the IRA deployed our volunteers to engage. In the course of attacking the enemy, Lyra McKee was tragically killed while standing beside enemy forces. The IRA offer our full and sincere apologies to the partner, family and friends of Lyra McKee for her death. For almost 3 years, Nicola, the journalist's sister, has been fighting to find out the identity of the murderer.
The writing, all the writing that you see in the background, is the advice that she gives to all young people, is that it won't always be like this, it's going to get better.
3 years after the events, no one has been convicted.
We know that there were over 100 people on the ground the night that our Lyra was murdered. There are people who know who killed her. No one who was there that night actually came forward to speak out for Lyra.
Due to a lack of witnesses, the police investigation has been delayed. Nicola decided to launch an appeal for witnesses. She wrote directly to all the inhabitants of the neighborhood.
Almost 8,000 letters went out to the Craigan and the surrounding area.
And how many people responded to you?
None. Not one.
An omerta imposed by the new Irish Republican Army that threatens anyone who talks to the police. A few days after the murder, a sign was hung in the neighborhood warning that all informers will be executed.
No matter how well rehearsed their verses are, no matter how well rehearsed the old language from the 1970s is that they use, it isn't really their ideology. It's just a mask for criminality. That's what it is. They're gangsters.
Convinced that the Surrett Party and the new IRA were in cahoots, shortly after the tragedy, the journalists' relatives placed their hands covered in red paint on the party headquarters. The man staring at them was Thomas Mallon, suspected head of the new Irish Republican Army. Like 12 other members of his party, Paddy was recently arrested on suspicion of having information about the murderers.
Do you understand the fact that maybe the family wants to know who did it?
Well, again, that's down to the family to seek justice. I can't actually speak on behalf of Léire McKee's family. I can't speak on behalf of the Irish Republican Army, who actually apologised for the accidental killing of Léire McKee. Personally speaking, I wouldn't advise anyone to go to the police within occupied Ireland. If you take a look at those who have previously contacted police or informed to police, it hasn't been... can we cut that? Because I'm trying to think.
Paddy recovers, but the message remains threatening.
If you look again throughout history, those who have informed to British Crown Forces have been met with force from working class communities, from their own communities. So again, judging by history, it's highly unrecommended.
But do you think it could sound maybe like a threat?
Well, not for myself, obviously, but if you look throughout history, it's the life of an informer is not a good life.
According to British intelligence, a dozen paramilitary groups are still active in Northern Ireland on both sides. Underneath their political veneer and identity claims, most of them are now criminal organizations that are notably involved in drug trafficking. In the slums, where the police only patrol in armored vehicles, these paramilitary factions rain terror and impose their law.
We're just going to turn here and come back up that way.
Morgan, a 16-year-old teenager, had his life turned upside down a year ago.
Probably couldn't get the car, just the fear. Like, just whenever I'm in these areas, just I'm constantly fearing. Finicky is where this assault took place on my son.
In September 2020, with two friends, this Catholic boy stole a scooter in this Protestant neighborhood. Unfortunately for them, it belonged to the son of a paramilitary leader. The man tried to beat them up and punish them.
He hit the wrong kid because he hit him back, and that's where it went wrong.
Since this incident, Morgan has been in danger whenever he passes through the Protestant quarters.
My friends used to live in, because of what happened, but we stopped seeing each other, and it's sad.
Shortly afterwards, for this simple theft of a scooter, the paramilitaries offer Morgan and his parents a punishment to repent, which they refuse.
They would have sliced your hands, and not that you would probably never would have boxed again. You wouldn't have worked, because your hands would have been sliced to pieces, and that's their justice. That's what they do to people from their own community. That's what the fear they instill on people from their own community.
A few days later, the police called them to warn of a possible attack.
This is a threat my son received from the police, telling us that he was under a punishment threat from loyalist paramilitaries. It says that police are in receipt of information that paramilitaries want to carry out some form of punishment attack on my son. In total shock, because I'd never even seen one of these things before. And then they just went. And this is to up your security. And that was basically it. I'm angry that the police haven't done more to stop this. You know, this behaviour has been normalised in this country, you know, where it's just accepted and everybody's supposed to just let it go, you know.
Left to their own devices, Morgan's parents spent €700 to equip their house with surveillance cameras. Since then, the family has lived in constant fear and seclusion.
Even if our house was attacked, like right now, I wouldn't hold any hope that the police would take it seriously or defend the people who done it. And thank God I don't live here alone, because I would be terrified. I really would be terrified.
Despite the complaint from Morgan's parents, no legal action has been taken. In the Catholic Republican neighbourhood of Falls Road, one of the poorest in Belfast, Stephen, a social worker, fights against the paramilitary's hold on the youth.
I grew up knowing nothing but bombs and bullets and hurt and hate. I know that youth work is successful at helping young people achieve.
Stephen denounces the parallel justice they have set up and the punitive attacks they commit against their own community.
What it is young people's being punished by paramilitary groups for being involved in criminal behaviour. But what it really is abuse of young people. It's child abuse.
Between 2015 and 2021, 468 attacks were recorded by the police, a figure that is undoubtedly underestimated according to Stephen and the social workers in the area. The paramilitaries designate their targets by publishing lists online.
And this is just one of a number of lists. There's about 3 lists at the moment. So this is the all drug dealers in Belfast and surrounding areas. We have your addresses. Stop pushing your drugs onto our streets to ruin our kids' lives. This is your final warning to anyone not named yet. If you do not cease your death dealing, then you will be executed without warning.
The paramilitary's grip is such that some targets come forward on their own accord to be beaten up or worse, shot in the knees.
The victim knows that it's coming. Quite a lot of victims then prepare for it. Maybe they'll wear shorts, because that'll make it easier. Maybe they'll have towels and stuff with them, take a lot of painkillers before.
To combat this scourge, Stephen and the other members participated in a Ministry of Justice prevention campaign that was broadcast on primetime television.
We'll have to go, son.
In this video, a mother receives a message ordering her to take her son to a meeting place.
I love you.
This clip was filmed from 4 different perspectives: the mother, the victim, the paramilitary, and the witness. Its slogan, "The paramilitaries don't protect you, they control you." Faced with this phenomenon of punitive attacks, the Northern Irish government subsidises associations that negotiate directly with paramilitary factions, like here in Londonderry.
Well, good to see you. Hey, well, take a wee sit down here and.
John is a Catholic mediator. Today he's meeting with Kieran, victim of an attack by independence paramilitaries a year ago. He was accused of importing drugs.
Well, hopefully we'll get this resolved. What did they use? What
they
weapons?
Used hatchets and pickaxes.
Right.
And then my leg was more or less hanging off, as you can see. And 290 stitches. That was a major one, like, that was the one that took a year and I'm still getting treatment for it. That was a nasty, nasty one.
How long were you in hospital then?
I was in the hospital the first time for 8 weeks, and then I had 8 major surgeries on my left leg. I received a plate in my right arm, plate in my right ankle.
Kieran is being threatened again by paramilitaries. He has come to John for help.
you've received a threat from the PSNI.
PSNI was delivered the threat, like.
And what did they say?
It was a criminal threat this time. As we speak, we still don't know who the threat's from.
The reason the paramilitaries agreed to talk to John is because of his past. During the Civil War, he fought for Irish independence. He spent 4 years in prison for possession of heavy machine guns.
What we try and do is resolve problems within our own community without really involving police and stuff. And we also talk to these people because we believe there's other ways of resolving problems, and we have done over 1,000 cases here.
Even though Kieran almost lost the use of his leg, he seems to justify the attacks.
It's not normal to start with, but anyway you go, you need a police force. And if a police can't police the local area, someone has to police it. And that's why I understand.
What they're telling me, these groups, some of these armed groups, what they're telling me is they're under pressure from people in their area to do something about this antisocial or drug.
John condemns the attacks but refuses to denounce those responsible.
Because you know these armed groups and you know who is part of it, you could maybe go to the police and tell them who they are.
Me? I'm an Irish Republican, and I would never do that, not in a million years. And we have this code amongst Republicans. I don't believe in a British state, you know.
Only 2% of paramilitary attacks are convicted. To better understand how these factions work, we contacted one of their former members. This man had to flee Northern Ireland and is now living in hiding somewhere in the UK. Alex is in his early 20s. He spent 10 years in a Protestant Unionist paramilitary faction. He is now under death threat from his former group.
Having a social life, really. Didn't want to go outdoors because I didn't want to bump into any of the people that were higher up on me because I was trying to stay away from it. So, yeah, I still look over my shoulder. I still check to see if there's people in cars looking at me.
As a teenager, Alex was approached by the Ulster Volunteer Force, a 7,500-strong Protestant and loyalist group.
Yeah, they'll target young kids with broken family lives. And one day, one of my family members asked me about joining, and I said yes. I got picked up, brought the location, swapped from one car into another, and brought into another location. And a person came out to get us. We got brought into a room, and there was a pile of masked men with one guy sitting at a table with a Union Jack and a Bible on it. So I had to swear an oath then. It was me and him.
He became a henchman for this paramilitary group.
You would just get random phone call for punishment beatings for drug dealing or partying too late. I've also put out foreigners, and then once you start to go up, get a phone call to go and shoot someone in the legs. Belfast is a pretty small place, so most of the time you know the person you're doing it to. And that can be tough. You're beating up your friend from school and he has no idea who you are, you don't want to do it, but you can't say no to these people. There is no saying no to them.
One of the abuses he committed particularly continues to haunt him.
We went into his house, we were all given thick buttons, and somebody had a hammer as well. And we put the door up the hall, and the guy was in the living room. Whenever he opened up the laptop, it was pretty quick to find it's a child porn. And the guy's screaming at it, you dirty, rotten, paedophile. Just beating on him. And it got to the point where he beat him so bad in the legs that his shin came out of his knee. Believe it or not, whenever we left the house, there was people outside cheering as we dragged the fella out and left him on the street.
Alex decided to testify to expose the hypocrisy of these criminal groups.
They police their own communities, they ruin their own communities, they're still drug dealing, they're still bringing teenagers in to do their dirty work. Yeah, they're gangsters that wrap themselves in a flag. They use the Great Britain flag, but the Ireland flag is their cover to show that as if they're still paramilitaries, they're still fighting for Northern Ireland or United Ireland. But they're not, it's just gangsters selling drugs. mediation pledge.
With death threats from his former bosses, Alex can never return to Northern Ireland. In Belfast, in the Protestant district of Tigers Bay, one man is fighting to lead Northern Irish youth away from the hate and community divisions. Cooper is a Protestant, a boxing coach.
Well, don't drop out left hand, come on back now. One, two, split. Put him back on the ropes. Put him back. It's in a Protestant area. Mostly Protestants, I think, come. But we don't ask religion. Kids come in the door, we just bring them in. We don't ask what they are, who they are. We invite them in. Everybody's welcome in this club. So when they're here, they can't cause trouble outside. And hopefully when they leave here, they're too tired to get into any trouble. Just go home and go to sleep.
Twice a month, Cooper organises boxing matches with a neighbouring club in a Catholic neighbourhood.
Cameron, Luke, and Johnny. All right, we're going over to the Star for a sparring session. All right, so you've all your gear. Don't embarrass me when you get over here. Tell me you forgot something because I'll thump a face right off every one of you. We're just walking across from Tigers Bay into New Lodge, Catholic area. Just going to walk across the interface. Going to go over for a bit of sparring. They have a guy over here about 60 odd kilos, okay? Yep. So be sharp, okay? Think smart.
Don't jump in.
All right, don't jump in. Feet, mate, don't jump in. You're not.
These teenagers grow up with a ban on entering these areas. They risk being attacked because of their religion. At 15, Jay is here for the first time, even though he only lives a few blocks away.
I wouldn't really feel safe, if I'm being honest. I come from Woodfield, just above Shangle, and you wouldn't really be in places like these usually. It's not my community, it's not sort of the way it works. If you're not from a certain community, you'll be singled out, the place you're not supposed to be.
In the changing rooms, the atmosphere is relaxed. But once in the room, surrounded by 15 or so young Catholics, Jay doesn't have much to say.
You'd be a bit nervous before you go in, like, but see, as soon as you win, you throw a first punch. It's brilliant. It's just enjoying it. Fun.
Right, kid? I think you're in next. Yeah. Maybe you, Johnny. Maybe you in next. All right. Nice and light. Nice and light. Right. Don't jump. Then feet. All right. Sharp feet. Sharp feet. Float feints and then counter. Come on, push forward, Conrad. Come on. Well, if I take the last 10, go. Come on. There you are now, that's good. Well done. What's there, Luca? Right, Johnny?
Hopefully it's not mine. We'll have a bit of blood on it, and I don't think I'm bleeding, like, so I've done all right.
The blood is Connell's, the young man Jay just fought.
No, I'm from KFL, and I'm a Catholic, so I am, and Jay, where I'm from Woodfield, and I'm Protestant. So, two different communities where, if I was there to say, if we were out in the street there, we probably would have walked past each other and probably said them.
So, at what age did you meet the first Protestant boys?
Yeah, I was around about 15. I just didn't really know them, but I seen them, and a few people knew them, and then I just talked. But once you get talking to them, then you realise that they're just like anybody else. It wouldn't matter. More interesting than just saying hello, what are you at? Get in, punch a face each other for a couple of minutes.
Fighting in the ring instead of on the streets, a lesson Cooper wants to pass on. Thanks to boxing, he's avoided being caught up in the tensions.
Let's say the first guy I ever boxed, Catholic, still a friend of mine today, 40 odd years ago. Well, like this today, well, we're just trying to make them be one. They're in boxing each other and fighting each other, and they get out and they're just friends at the end of it, you know. We can't change the world by boxing, but we can certainly try and help.
In Belfast, the tension that reigns in the popular and identity-based bastions contrasts with the calm of the city centre. Many Northern Irish people want to turn the page on violence and are resolutely looking to the future. This is the case for John and his family.
Liverpool have a game on Sunday, so We got to get back to that.
John started his career as a salesman for Guinness, the infamous Irish beer. For the past year, he has been at the helm of one of Ireland's oldest whisky brands, McConnell Whisky, founded in Belfast in 1776. This businessman has a lot on his mind.
Big day today. We're going to the distillery. We're going to see Kieran Deasley, the architect, and then we're going to go over and Roy, myself and Kieran are going to go over to the distillery, the A-wing. See ya!
This morning, John drops his son off at St. Malachy's College, one of the oldest Catholic schools in Northern Ireland. John also studied there.
Very important school in North Belfast, and, you know, great to have the family tradition of everyone here. You can see it's a beautiful old, like 18th century buildings. Really, you know, really wonderful. No? Okay. All right, Ella, have a good day. Yeah, see you later. Yeah. Good man. Lovely, huh? What a school.
He then leaves Belfast and heads south to the Republic of Ireland.
This area, you know, is, I guess, known as the border area of Ireland.
Since the end of the Civil War in 1998, the border has been open.
My father has family in Dublin, and I, you know, distinctly remember driving north, having visited my relatives, and, you know, we would line up in our cars at a British Army checkpoint, and you would, you know, it would take time to go through the checkpoint. We're in such a better place now, you know, freedom of movement.
John visits this warehouse that holds one of Ireland's treasures.
These are, you know, 30-year-old, so 6 casks here are all 30-year-old. So
these are the top of the tree in terms of our aged malts, absolutely. It's 30 years old, and when you think about what you're doing 30 years ago, it's incredible to think that liquid's still there.
His distillery is currently located in the south of the island, but John wants to move it back to his hometown in Belfast.
Any other casks in here, like Madeira? You know, I'm very proud to be Irish and very proud to sell Irish whiskey all over the world. When we build that distillery, you know, we will have Irish whiskey coming from Belfast for the first time in almost 100 years.
John wants to set up this distillery in his childhood neighbourhood, near his old college in the old Crumlin Road prison, one of the most emblematic sites of the Civil War.
Yes, Coach. How are you?
Hi, John. Good to see you.
Great to see you, buddy. Great to see you.
Welcome back.
All good. All
Welcome
good.
back.
Can we take a wee bit
With his friend Adrian, now a sports teacher, John recalls this rather eventful period.
Talk about the old times. Would be brilliant.
back in the day when I remember in our day, Girdwood Barracks, the army barracks was here. The helicopters were landing constantly, every hour of the day. The prison was full with prisoners. You had Republican prisoners, Loyalist prisoners. I remember at one point there was actually a protest in the prison by both the Loyalists and the Republicans, where they kind of went onto the roofs and they spent a couple of days on the roofs kind of complaining about the facilities, the conditions that they were in at the time.
John now has a meeting with Kieran, his architect.
How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, all good. Yeah, long time no see.
£20 million to renovate the building.
It'll not be easy, but I think we have the vision of the built, completed project. It's absolutely worthwhile.
We'll sit in the boardroom and we'll have a glass of McConnell's and celebrate all of the hard work that we've all put into the project.
Work will start in a few months and last for over 2 years. The project is ambitious. John hopes to attract more than 120,000 visitors per year.
Well, I mean, this building, this part of the city is where I come from, North Belfast. It's got a troubled history, an interesting history, and a really bright future.
A new tourist attraction to change the face of this city marked by war, identity division, and where peace remains fragile.